Hello everybody, and welcome back to more of Pokémon LeafGreen. Last time we made our way through the badge checking gates after defeating our rival Gary for the final time. And in this episode, we are going to take on Victory Road and the trainers that are held within. Alright, so before we enter, make sure that you have a Pokemon that can learn Strength, and that's pretty much all you're gonna need. Without further ado, let's head inside. Alright, so, like I said, have a Pokemon with Strength on you, because there are Strength puzzles. Everyone's favorite pastime in the Pokemon games. Alright, so Snorlax, let's loaf around and push it. And you're going to want to make sure... I was gonna say make sure that you have, repels, but in my case, I suggest you have Pokemon over level 46 when you enter here, because that's the highest level Pokemon can be here, and I'm gonna keep running into them, so I'm gonna have to cut a lot of stuff out. That's just my fault, though, for wanting to make my team balanced. Anyway, we go straight up there. That's a battle. I don't want to do that quite yet. Because there's actually an item we can pick up here. Technically 2 items. One you will have to exit and re-enter, and then that resets all the strength puzzles. It's a mess. I'm gonna go for this item here on the left first, and this item is a rare candy, and now it's time to reset the dungeon. So, really quickly, let's go into our Pokemon, and let's dig out with Jolteon. I'll be back here in a second. Alright, back here, and let's push this aside to pick up TMO2, Dragon Claw. And if I sound a bit weird, I do apologize. I'm coming off of a bit of a cold. Hopefully that doesn't affect things too much. And I totally skipped this trainer when I said I was going to fight her, and Repel wore off. Boy, this is gonna be fun here in Victory Road. There was only 3 floors, though, so it's not as bad as preceding Victory Roads, because the Victory Roads in the later games, they get a bit longer and a bit tougher. So, thank goodness for easy Victory Roads. I wonder if you are good enough for me. Oh, you're about to find out. Alright, there we go. I actually need to heal up Nidoking now, thanks to the burn from the Ninetales. Wonderful. There you go, Nidoking. And we should Super Potion up Poliwrath while we're at it. There we go, nice and good for you, Poliwrath. And now let's keep going. There's actually a required battle if you just run straight up that way, but we'll fight him anyway. I can see you're good. Let me see exactly how good. Alright, there we go, and as you can see, I do have the experience share attached to Charizard right now. I'll probably be training off-screen between Victory Road and actually challenging the Pokemon League, just because my Pokemon right now, compared to the Elite Four, are really underleveled, so I'm gonna have to do a lot of training, and it starts out with Charizard, because Charizard is my starter, and he comes first. Anyways, let's keep on going here. We have this Strength Boulder to push. Alright, let's go. Now we just gotta... Oh, oops. I meant to actually go to the boulder to push it, instead of going to the side and running into Pokemon. But that's just my luck. Alright, if we keep going this way... Freaking Golbat, he just... No, I don't want to use my bike. Now I need to heal up. I'm gonna actually use one of the Hyper Potions that I bought off screen. There we go. There you go, Poliwrath. You should be all the way up to full. Yes, 200 HP is wonderful with the Hyper Potions. Let's see here. Super Potion for the rest of my team, because they can actually use a bit of health back. There we go, for you, Executor. And now for you, Jolteon. Nidoking's fine. He's probably not gonna get a battle yet, for a while, so just leave that there. Let's see, we got a Karate Black Belt guy, so the perfect Pokemon would be either Executor or Charizard. But you know what? We're gonna go with Snorlax, because Snorlax could use a bit of levels as well. Alright, hey Black Belt, what's going on? This here is Victory Road. It's the final test for trainers. Alright, there we go. Down goes the black belt. There's actually an item over here we can get. And that item is TM37 Sandstorm. Awesome. There's a pressure plate that we can put a boulder on, so let's go do that. Let's see here. Actually, there's no boulder nearby. Wild Onyx. With Dragon Breath. Paralyzed my frickin' Executor. Yay. Alright, let's revive Snorlax here. Just because Snorlax... Yeah, you need levels, buddy. Although, so does Jolteon, Nidoking, especially Nidoking. And, well, everybody needs some levels. We need to be at least level 48 before we can challenge the Elite Four. So we got a long way to go with a lot of our Pokemon. Alright, there we go. Snorlax is back up to full. And actually, here's another item. It's a full heal. We just used one to get rid of that paralysis. So, got one back. You stupid Machoke, you made my Snorlax faint. Urgh. God. Can Snorlax catch a break? Seriously? Oh my god. Alright, we're just gonna use one of the Hyper Potions instead of using, like, 5 Super Potions. There we go. Alright. Let's get out of here. I'll avoid that battle for now. This is a required fight I do... No, it's not, actually. Okay. My god, Snorlax. Jeez. TM07 Hail over here, and he's not required unless you take one step down, which, frankly, I don't want to do. Alright, this guy... Oh god, I thought he was going to turn around and face me there. We'll just avoid those two trainers, because we can actually head to the next floor here. Alright, let's use Strength. If we head it through a staircase to the left, you will find a burn heal, and that's where Moltres was in the original games. But, like I said, it's now in Mount Ember, and the boulder here that we just started pushing will reset as soon as you go down the ladder and back up. I heard rumors of a child prodigy. Who could that be? Alright, and once you defeat him, you can grab this Max Revive. I think that's worth it, don't you? Alright, let's continue pushing this over here. No wild Pokemon? I'm surprised. Alright, go down here. I did speak too soon. That's my fault. Okay. Careful when you go this way. Push that down. And there you go. Alright. Let's grab this item really quick. Well, that Onyx just ruined my life. TM50 Overheat is right here. That's cool, I guess. Let's go down here again. And actually, need to head somewhere else. We actually need to head down this way. But we're gonna need to go a different way. My god, wild Pokemon. This battle girl right here, she won't battle us as long as we walk by. My god, Onyx. Anyway, now we're over here, and this is where the fun begins. We're reaching the end. Only the chosen can pass here. Alright, that was a long, hard-fought battle. I love battles like that, especially towards the end of the game. Alright, we don't need to Hyper Potion anybody quite yet. We need to actually revive two of our Pokemon, Snorlax and Exeggutor, who fell during that battle. Alright, and one more revive for you, Exeggutor. There we go. And Super Potions for you guys, hang on. There you go. You only have one Giga Drain left on Exeggutor, which actually sucks because really that's what helps us out, because Solar Beam is a 2-turn move. That's pretty much it for now. There's actually one more battle with a cool trainer, a female one this time. Let's talk to her. I'll show you just how good you are. Not! Well, Charizard just took that cool trainer to school. That totally wrecked my life. Anyway, push a boulder down there, and then follow it. And now, just click on it here. Push it all the way over here. No need to change its direction. And that will unlock... It will unlock this staircase, which leads to basically the end of Victory Road. There's a double battle to do as well. Really quickly, spray a max repel because that's useful. And let's revive Snorlax for like the 8th time in this episode. There we go. And let's just use a Hyper Potion. Alright. Now, let's switch our Pokemon around here. Snorlax and Nidoking will start this off. As you can see, Nidoking's finally level 40 after about 12 episodes, which is awesome. Anyway, let's fight these two trainers. Together, the two of us are destined for greatness. Alright, and there we go. Head down this staircase, and right here, this guy. You should be proud of yourself, having battled your way through Victory Road so courageously. In recognition of your feat, I'll teach you Double Edge. Would you like me to teach you the technique? You can teach Double Edge to a Pokemon. It's basically a more tough takedown, a tougher version of takedown. But we will decline. And now, we have made it all the way to the Indigo Plateau. Next time on Pokémon LeafGreen, we will head inside the Indigo Plateau, and we will be taking on the first 2 members of the Elite Four. But first, I need to do a lot of training off-screen. So, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.